Hey everyone, super excited to bring you another incredible training from our Friday Connect training series. For those of you that are new to the channel, we host these every single Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, completely for free. Now, if you're interested in joining one of these calls, just click the link that's in the top of the description. It's also in the pinned comment. That'll take you over to our Facebook group where you can see all the upcoming calls, all the upcoming topics, and even leave some suggestions for something you want to see us cover in the future. With all that being said, let's just get right into the training.
And today's topic is super special because we have an amazing special guest today, and we're going to talk about how to win more real estate listings during a shifting market, and especially going through different real estate cycle in particular. So we know right now in many parts of the world, the market is shifting. It is a different times for a lot of agents, and people aren't closing deals as quickly, and the offers aren't coming in as quickly. So what does that look for you? And so in this, and we had a lot of agents kind of reaching out to us asking, give us some valuable training that can help you with that. So we brought on the perfect person. Shane Carvalo. He's a leader of one of the highest producing teams in California. He's going to show you some exact strategies that he uses with his team that's helps him secure some multi-million-dollar listings. And Shane is also a real estate agent and a global team leader with DXB Realty. So thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Dharma. You make me embarrassed. Thank you. So my name is Shane Carvalo. I actually one of the first in the Wolfpack with Dharma. Joined right after Mike Sherrard, and I participate in the team leaders call every Thursday as well. And really close with Mike and Connor, and really thankful that I came over to EXP. It's been a little over 2 years. I just had my second Icon year. I love the Icon program. So if you're a producer or you want to be a top producer, it's incredible the opportunity that EXP provides. I didn't realize actually how exciting it was till I got there. And I know some of you are not necessarily looking to produce. Some people really want to grow their organization. But anyway, I'll give a quick intro.
Sure.
So I grew up building houses. My parents are Portuguese immigrants, and my dad was a general contractor. When he retired, my brother took over the company, and I got completely out of the family business a few years ago because I was doing both for a while. But during college, I got recruited, became a mortgage broker, was a mortgage broker for 10 years, been doing nothing but sales the last 14 years. I shouldn't say nothing, but I've been focusing as a realtor in sales the last 14 years. So I've been in the industry for almost 25 years. I'm a licensed general contractor. I just manage, so I don't run a company, just manage projects. And I have an Airbnb portfolio, so I do Airbnbs. I have an LLC. I buy and fix and flip property. I have my own stager. We have warehouses. We can furnish about 7-8 houses at a time. I also have a home furnishing store and a real estate team. And so it's way too much. Don't try it. I don't recommend it. Trying to downsize. Tharmala knows. But anyway, so yeah, I'm very diverse in real estate. It's all I've ever done is build, finance, and sell. And there you go. I'm ready to go, Tharmala.
Yeah. So myself and Kyle, we have a slew of questions for you to kind of take you through, what a lot of agents in our kind of group has been asking us. And we thought you are way more experienced. You've gone through, how many years have you been in the real estate space now?
Well, I started in the mortgage business in '98, and then I crossed over to sales right at the crash, 2008. So it's been about 14 years in the sales space. I crossed over when the market was crashing here, and so I got to cut my teeth in short sales and REOs, which a lot of the older agents left the business at that time because they weren't ready to adjust.
Yeah.
And I became really solid in that because my mortgage background made it like an easy transition for me.
That's awesome. And I think that this is why it's so perfect to have someone like you here, because you can touch on, you have to change different strategies depending on what's going on and, what you're working on. And I think, given your background and your experience in this industry, can we talk a little bit about, I know your specialty is somewhat in the luxury market too. Like, how did you break into that when you're going from, mortgage, you started off as a new agent, and then all of a sudden now you're a leader of a top producing team in California. You get some crazy listings. I've seen them, when did you get into that space?
Well, it's interesting because my third year in the business, I was at a boutique brokerage here, who's number one in the county. And, I was always envious. I shouldn't say envious, that's a bad word, but I just was always like looking up to the agents that had all these really nice listings and beach houses and everything else. And I really wanted to get into that space. Well, I came in doing REOs and short sales, And so, I mean, I was just grinding. I mean, even now, I grind. I do luxury listings, but I mean, I still help all my clients. Like, I don't cherry pick. Like, I mean, I have a $500,000 mobile home right now. I mean, that's like, it's like not even worth my time to do something like that. But it's all about taking care of your clients. You take it all. I mean, unless it's a bad client or a bad situation, we're taking it. And then I have my junior agents help. But anyway, I was, 2011. I was selling a lot of bank-owned property, a lot of short sales. The banks became like, they just loved me because I had my contractors and everything. I could take the property from start to finish. Well, that became such a volume play. My average sale price at that time was only like 250. I mean, it was hard to make a living. You're only making 2 points on the bank stuff and whatever the short sales give you. So I sold 41 transactions my third year. I was actually number one in the company, which is crazy, my third year in real estate. But I did it the hard way. I was selling stuff for 250 when there's agents in the office that were averaging 800, 900, a million. And so you can see I was working 4 times as hard. So what I did was, I started talking to these agents that were selling the more expensive stuff. And I started asking them, let me do your open houses. Let me help you market your property. And so, believe it or not, open houses is the way that I broke into that. And I really, like, for me, it's like, I've always had this fear of being an imposter, like the whole imposter syndrome. And it's like, I didn't want to go approach $1 million listing without having sold one or been involved. So I felt like for credibility that I needed to have something under my belt, even though I just started with one. It's like, it made me feel like an expert. So I just really started, what I did was I geo-farmed that area. I did sell one of these, and then I became like the expert in this market. In fact, this is still my geo-farm that I farm. It's about 350 homes. And in the last 10 years, I've sold over 50% of the properties that have changed hands in that entire area, which is pretty significant, especially being that there's not a ton of properties that go on the market in there anyway. But essentially that's how it started, was with the open house. And then just, another thing I did, which, some people don't take it this far, but what I did was I went and, like, there's an HOA in there, and I was like, okay, how can I be more visible? So I talked to the HOA. They let me sponsor their annual meeting luncheon, and they let me talk. That was honestly one of the biggest moves I made that really broke me in that market for good, was that I basically got to have, like, I bought all their food, got to have these big banners and stuff. All the owners came into town because there's a lot of second homes, beach houses there. And honestly, that I think is what really just sealed the deal for me, was just trying to find a way to basically, stand out. And so between doing the open houses, doing the geo farm, attacking the, basically the HOA. And I mean, I'd say that was probably the main things I did to break in.
Yeah, those are really good, because you're finding creative ways, but you're doing things that a lot of people kind of shy away from, which is kind of building relationship, getting in front of people who are your direct potential clients. So for everybody, just context, like, what are the exact areas that you cover right now? So Santa Cruz, just name a couple that you service.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, so I live on the coast. I live in just basically in Aptos, Capitola, which is just south of Santa Cruz. So if you're familiar with the Monterey Bay, the southern tip of the Monterey Peninsula is Carmel, Pebble Beach. I mean, for those of you that are golf fanatics, I mean, we have some of the most beautiful golf courses in the world. Pebble Beach, Spyglass. I mean, I could sit here and name all kinds of golf courses, but the Monterey Peninsula is an international location. A lot of people know. Santa Cruz is on the north end of the bay, and then 30 minutes up the hill is the Silicon Valley, San Jose, etc. And then San Francisco is about an hour north of me. And so basically, we have luxury properties on the water. There's luxury properties up the peninsula and the hills. I mean, I'm qualified to do more of the super luxury stuff. I just never really worked my way into the upper luxury. I mean, the most expensive listing I've ever had is 16 million. I mean, I have buddies that sell stuff that's 30, 40 million. I mean, that's something that I still strive to do at some point, is maybe spend a little more time getting more into that. I'm just so set with my database, my repeat, my referral. I really don't even venture out. I just try to keep up with what comes in. But anyway, so in my market in Santa Cruz, the most expensive sale we've had was 18 million last year. Wow. And so, basically my window really for luxury in my market is like 2 to 5 million. That's what luxury is in my market.
Yeah. And that's really good context, because I can relate to you. I'm in downtown Toronto, and our market is tough. There's a lot of competition. And when it's any kind of shift in the market, people get really scared, and it creates a sense of fear. So that's why it's really important to hear what you were doing throughout the time. Like, when did you, because I was talking to you, a couple of days ago, and you said, one of the big thing is referral business for you. Like, when did you start to see that you went from a lead generation strategy to now kind of waiting for people to come to you and attracting business? Like, when did that take place in your career?
Well, for me, it's interesting because at college, when I got recruited into mortgage, I got recruited by a company in Seattle. So I actually went and moved to Seattle for 3 years up in Washington State. And I worked there for 3 years. And then I got an offer to come back home where all my family was and stuff. And what I realized up in Seattle was that, I was doing an average loan of like 100,000 because doing loans over the country. And down in Capitola, in my area, the average loan was like 800,000. I was like, I'm doing the same amount of work and making like a fifth. So all my family was here. So when I came back, it's interesting because I got forced into my sphere. Like I was like, the lead generation like wasn't really a thing at that point. We didn't have like social media and all this other stuff. And keep in mind, it's been a long time. But when I came back, I started Facebook. I remember starting a Facebook account in 2010. And I wanted to connect with people that I knew. And so I naturally started going after my sphere, and then basically built that out. And then along the way, picking up some of these opportunities with banks and stuff. Like I would do, I would always take advantage of being able to do valuations for the banks, for the asset managers, and helping out, because I wanted to try and build those relationships. So really at that time, the market was distressed and there wasn't really a lot of luxury or a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And so that leads me to a quick point that I want to make is, I've always told everybody, you got to follow the market and you got to adapt. Too many people are set in their ways and they don't want to adapt. Adaptability is what's always allowed me to make a living. And I just reminded one of my colleagues a couple of days ago, the market will never affect your business. If the market affects your business, you're just not doing it right. 100%. Like if I look back over the last, 20 years, I've had 3 down years. And I can tell you, I don't get too personal, but those 3 years, it was something personal. Like it's never been like, oh, it's the market. So, essentially, how did I do it? When did I attack my sphere? Well, I started as a mortgage broker and then shifting over into real estate, I kept hitting the sphere. And then also with the banks and those relationships, and then full service. When the bank stuff died down, I started doing a lot of corporate relocations because I was so full service. My company was like, oh my God, you got your stager, you can do all this stuff. And so all of a sudden it was like, helping Google, Facebook, Adobe, eBay, GM. We have, Silicon Valley, we have like everybody here. So I started working with, the relocation companies, and I was our number one agent in relocation in our company. And I started doing that. It was like a kind of a good segue. And so it's like I was adapting, right? So the bank owned stuff dried up, but I have this whole setup. Let's just transition into that. You know what I mean? So it's like it was always taking advantage of the market. And, and after that, then it's like luxury, everything else. But that whole full service, the whole customer service being the full package, that was also a huge advantage for me. A lot of agents can't compete with that. Like if someone shows up at a listing appointment on a relocation, they don't have the means to, help them move, set up the movers, bring in the contractors, do the remodel, do the staging. I've always been full service, and that's been a huge advantage.
Yeah, but that's so key to talk about, right? Because it says to you that you built a foundation that's going to say, I'm going to service this kind of clientele, luxury market, this kind of pricing, but I'm set out for that. Because when you tell me what some of your budgets are for your properties, it blows my mind, because it takes me away from my, single family homes and the duplexes that I'm doing. But it says that I'm set up to serve this market. It works for me. Like, for example, like Josh and I, my husband and I, we specialize and we work closely with investors. But because for a long time we set out to help investors, so we built a business foundation that's going to help. So it's really important to touch upon things like that. Like, what are you doing to set yourself up to serve these clientele, and you make it that aware. But I think, this is a really good segue into talking a little bit about some of your lead generation strategy and like diving into some of the stuff that you already mentioned. So I'm going to kind of hand it over to Kyle so that he can kind of go through some of his questions too. So yeah, Kyle, take it away.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks again, Shane, for being here. Some great answers already, a lot of values. Next thing we just wanted to ask you is about lead gen. I know you said a lot of your business comes from sphere of influence, past clients, things like that. But what would you say is the lead generation option that you prefer, maybe you help your team with in general, and why do you find it to be the best lead generation?
Well, it's interesting because I'm always going to hit like sphere, repeat, referral. And I know when you're a new agent, you might not have the repeat and referral necessarily, but you do have a sphere. That's like, here's the thing, just like step out of that for a second. And this is what you got to think about. Like there's limited time in a day. And, it's like when you are prospecting or lead generating, you need to be efficient with your team, right? Or not with your team, I'm sorry, with your time. So I have agents that they'll just be like one of my agents said, he's like, yeah, I've been cold calling. I'm like, dude, because he already knows where he should be. But here's the thing is you got to look at conversion rate. If you got to make 150 calls out of the yellow pages or the white, phone book or whatever, like you get one lead every 150 calls, that's ridiculous, right? Your sphere might be 1 for 10, 1 for 15, 1 for 20. And so it's like, whether you're new or not, like I always lead to the sphere. I think that that's important. And I'll follow your lead on questions, but then I could talk about how I developed that as well. Now, as far as like what's good for lead gen, aside from that, I'm really big on GeoFarm, and I'm old school where postcards still work. And there's still things I like to do. So the second one is where you live, your neighborhood. If you have a dog, go walk it, if not, borrow your neighbor's dog. I don't know, just push a baby around the neighborhood. Just get out there, get to know your neighbors, and send out postcards. Like even if you've never done this, you're going to start. First 3 months, send out postcards every 2 weeks. And then after that, once a month, and be consistent. And don't do it for less than a year. If you're going to do less than a year, then you're wasting your time, right? You really have to build that reputation. But in your neighborhood, coffee shop, a lot of you guys love social media. I feel like the old guy now, because I've been developing my social media, but if you look at mine, it's not as spectacular as some of you guys'. But here's the thing is, go to your local coffee shop in the neighborhood and just buy coffee for a couple hours, just say, hey, I'm going to be doing coffee, and then just set up your computer. And then on your laptop, you probably heard this before, put something on the back of your laptop, like a sticker or something, hey, real estate, whatever. Just stick something on your laptop to kind of get people's attention, start conversations. They're like realistically, in your sphere, in your neighborhood, in the area, the area you love, that's where you build your business. I've tried Zillow. I've done all that stuff. And I tried like just where you actually bought leads that you get transferred. It's a waste. Like there was a year, let's see, what year was it? 3 or 4 years ago, I did do really well with the Zillow zip code, because there's a zip code where I live where a lot of these second home buyers from the Bay Area, the Silicon Valley people buy. And it was a very high dollar return. Like I was spending like $3,500 a month, but then my average transaction there was like 1.5. So it's like that year, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I made about 140,000 in commission. My lender picked up half the bill. I only spent about 15,000. And, that's a good return on investment, right? Like, it's for me, even if you make 100% cash on cash, that's pretty decent. But anyway, long story short, it worked out, but then that market really changed. And now Zillow has these different things they do. But what started happening is, especially during the pandemic, is the Bay Area agents didn't want to cart their clients down here. So what they would do is they would send them down, get a Zillow agent to show you the property. All of a sudden, showing all these properties, these people disappear. And for me, because I have good client loyalty and commitment, I'm not used to like not following through. And so those types of systems became just a waste of time. There was no loyalty. You got to pay referral fees. The conversion rate went way down because I wanted like additional layers for my business. So I gave up on that. And then what I did was I got into a really good coaching program, and I leveled up on working from the inside out, like working on the database and what I already had. I realized that that was much more fruitful than wasting time chasing all these other things, right? Because I was always looking for the next shiny object, right? Like that. Anyway, hope that wasn't too long-winded, but there you go.
No, that was a great answer. And I think a lot of agents fall victim to that, where they're just chasing the next shiny object, always trying the new lead gen strategy. But, I love what you said about being sort of the community expert, the one everybody knows in your community. And that actually leads right into my next question. And I'm sure it definitely helps. It was just about, what are your tips for actually winning the listing? Now you got the listing appointment. How are you the one that's actually going to win the appointment? And I'm sure the lead gen strategies of being that community expert or just getting more referral business. I'm sure that leads into it a little bit. Could you talk a bit about that?
Sure. So this is interesting because this has changed over the years. What I realized is, and I'm sure some of you can relate to this, maybe whatever you did in the past or maybe in real estate, but for me, like I've been doing this for so long and I've done all sides of it. It's so natural and so easy that I don't like, I've found out, especially once I joined EXP, that there was a real disconnect, right? So what I've done now with this is I've tried to kind of scale back as far as how I explain this and how to get there, because I realized that like I come in full service and I do all this stuff. You're a brand new agent, you might not have all that equipment. So I'll kind of give you both ends because I think it's important. So as far as winning the listing, like for me, I mean, I guess I'm a good salesperson. People say, oh, you're a good salesperson. But honestly, like I am passionate about like real estate. Like I love this stuff and I love helping people. And so when I go meet with people, I mean, I hardly ever even do listing presentations. I mean, usually I just like this week I got 4 listings. I mean, past clients, referral, whatever. Like the referral I got yesterday. Oh yeah, let's do. I thought I was gonna go compete. No, we're doing this. Like, can you start next week? I'm like, oh, okay. So it's kind of changed over my career. But the thing is that when I do have to go and compete and people don't know you, like it's so funny because it's not even an ego thing, but I'm so used to like, because I know what I know and I know how good we are at what we do. I'm like blown away when I got to talk to a stranger and try to prove who I am, and that's really frustrating. But here's the thing: is that for me, you want to take care of the client, you love what you do, and hopefully it's in an area that you're somewhat familiar with. I get really spread out. So over the years, it's crazy some of the listings I've won because I've been in other neighborhoods where I never even sold a house. But what I was going to say though is that I come in confident, and it's all with confidence. I don't ever fake it. If I don't know the answer to something, I'm always honest. Say, let me get back to you. So I don't ever fake it, but always be confident. And your insecurity shines if you make it a thing. Like one of the big things for agents is commission. I charge 6%. It's 3.5 to the listing side, 2.5 to the buyer side. If that doesn't work for you, sorry, we can't work together. I walk. It's almost like the takeaway close. I usually get a call. I mean, that hardly ever happens that happens, but if they have an issue, usually I get a call back. Well, we really want to work with you. But anyway, be really confident in your presentation and what you have to offer and in knowing what you're doing. If you don't make any, like, it doesn't matter if you've only sold one house. This is the part where I've adapted this to like newer agents. It doesn't matter if you've only sold one house. It doesn't matter. I mean, really, it's like we're so insecure and so worried about what people are going to think. But keep in mind, they might have done this once in their lifetime. You're totally the expert because there's so much intimidation. So if you walk in and you let that, tail wag the dog, right? Like if the clients are owning you from the first moment, you're never going to win a listing doing that. I mean, it's like me. Like if I'm going to go get help with something, they better be better than me. Like that's one thing in real estate. Why I didn't do too well in the corporate world is because I can't handle taking orders from people that don't know more than I do. Like I would frustrate the heck out of me. So keep in mind that you know more than your clients. So when you go in there, you know your stuff, and you know where you stand, and then you also know what you offer. So the whole slideshow thing, that's fine. Like not to knock anything Tarmilla's taught you because everybody has their style. So she probably, I think from what I remember, she has a beautiful listing presentation. I'm not saying don't use that. I'm just saying my approach is different. I bring a property profile, which in our market is something that shows the square footage, lot, bedroom, whatever. I use that and I walk through the house, I go, hey, let me see your house. I want to check it out. I walk through the house, I make sure it really has that much square footage, bedrooms, baths. Sometimes I'll bring some comps along just for reference, but really that's all I bring. I don't bring the fancy iPad anymore. I don't bring the binder with my logos and this beautiful package to leave there. I don't do any of that stuff. But I don't badmouth my competition. I don't ever knock the competition, and I never, brag, or I don't. What shifted about the market is that 20 years ago, all my trophies and hardware and like when you see those attorney offices with all the plaques on the wall, that's like an 80s thing, like 80s, maybe early 90s. That's not cool anymore. What's cool is what can you do for me? So when you go to the listing appointment, it's, you're confident, you know your stuff, you know the market, you're presentable, and you basically don't like, how do I say this? So you don't badmouth the competition, and you don't necessarily you don't want to fake anything really, but you assume that it's your listing. You never speak like an if. It's never if, it's you're doing it. Now the part that I told you I kind of leave out now because I don't want new agents feel like they can't be successful is that obviously what makes it an easy close for me is I have all the contractors, I have my own stager, I have my own furniture. Like, I mean, I can just come in, I can do everything, right? But here's the thing is that the agents on my team, they have that too because they're plugged in, right? And so they can leverage that. But for some of the agents in my EXP organization that are not in my market, what I've done is I coach them on building those relationships, right? You can create it. You don't have, like, I own a lot of this stuff, or I have a lot of this stuff in house, but you don't have to have that. Like, you can offer it. You just build the relationships and you can offer it. Then they say, well, Shane, but we don't have the deep pockets or the money. We can't. Well, that's fine. You start by improvising. Hey, so-and-so stager, I want you to be my stager. You know, I'm just ramping up in this area. I get X amount of listings, or I'm, you know, this is my first or second listing. Here's what I want to do with you. I don't have a lot of capital up front, but if you'd be willing to stage this property, you know, if I could pay you through escrow, you know, close of escrow, whatever, you know, maybe I'd be willing to give you an extra couple hundred, but whatever, just like, you know, be creative, like find ways to where you don't have to put the money out. Same with like the contractors, the handyman or whatever, figure out if you can be, you know, have that paid through escrow. Or what I do with the bigger projects, because I used to be Bank of Shane, which is horrible because I don't make any interest on the money I would lend to clients. I got a money guy, a private money guy in my market that's also my mortgage broker. We came up with an idea to do a rehab loan. So I know that with EXP, there's Curbio and some other options. I've never used those options. Almost every brokerage now has this kind of fix it up type of thing. I've been doing this, I invented this and then my money guy helped me. We've been doing this on our own for years. So now I know brokerage has been bringing this, but let me just give you an example though, is that if it's going to be a $20,000 or $30,000 remodel or whatever needs to be done, just get a rehab loan tacked on, or maybe the client has an equity line. You know, they always pay their inspections. I haven't paid their inspections up front. Some of them can't afford to do these repairs. So if they don't have an equity line or you don't get them the private money, then you try to build it so you can pay it through closing. But you just make sure that you have all that documented, and in the listing agreement they sign. Then every market's different, but I always just make sure that's signed for. But realistically, you can do everything I do. You just have to be creative about how you do it. So basically, did you want me to go on, or is this getting too long-winded for this part?
If you got more to say, keep going. No worries.
Well, just really quick. So bullet points. So go to the listing appointment, walk through, check out the property. I already can see like things that I want to change or fix or clean up. And you got to be careful not to, you know, disrespect the owners or make them feel bad or whatever. But I come through, and a lot of times they know that I'm like the expert. So they'll be like, hey, we know this is cluttered, or we're embarrassed, whatever. I go, don't be embarrassed. But when I do that first walkthrough, I already have a pretty good idea like what I want to do to that property and if I can get a return or not. You know, if I go to some of these properties and I see that there's going to be a lot of stuff behind the scenes, stuff that's not going to give that return on investment, it might be an as-is sale, you know, but 90% of them, we're going to clean them up. We're going to do something. So I walk through, hey, seller, are you living here right now full-time? Yes. Do you already have a place to go? I kind of feel out, you know, if they're staying or going. Like right now, I have a lot of people moving out of state. Like Chrissy, one of our agents from the Wolfpack in Texas, she sent me a referral that sold in my market. I just sold there, put their house in contract. She's helping me buy over there. I was like, you guys get out of here, you know? So they got out of there. So I got the house to myself. So you kind of feel out the situation. If they're going to stay, then it's like, oh, it's a redesign. We'll pick the pieces of furniture we want to use of theirs. We'll bring in some accessories or whatever. That saves us money and time. So basically, is this going to be a full stage? Is it a vacant house? Are they living here? Is there furniture we can use? Are they leaving before? Like, we just kind of feel that out. And then walking through, is it going to be paint? Is it going to be a couple of repairs? I always make them do a home inspection and a pest inspection. So we do all the health and safety stuff when those come back. And then we do need the cosmetic stuff. We can get a return on investment. And so I'm eyeballing all this stuff when I'm there. I don't ever give any advice or bring my team through until I have a signed listing agreement. Don't go give free advice. Oh, well, what do you think? Well, once you sign this contract, I will think. Right now, I need a contract signed. You got to be good about that. You'll get burned a couple of times as a rookie, and then you'll get better about that. But yeah, I mean, that hopefully that gives you kind of a sense of overview. But then team comes through, we all kind of brainstorm together. It's my decorator, whatever contractors I'm going to need. We all walk through together. My logistics manager is one of my assistants who she schedules everything, and she schedules the contractors. She handles the invoices. It helps with accounts payable. She orders the sign. She calendars the Google Calendar for staging everything else. We do a shared Google Calendar with our client. Here's when this is happening, that's happening. So we do this walkthrough, come through, plan all this stuff. They sign the bids to approve or not approve. They usually approve everything I recommend because I treat it like it's my house and I'm flipping it, right? Here, I need you to spend 10 grand. I'm going to get you an extra 100K. I'll do that all day long. Spend 10 grand. I'll get you 20 grand. I mean, I don't know exactly how much I'm going to get them, but I know what I'm going to do is going to help it sell faster and make more money. And that right there will set you apart from your competition, because you're not just trying to put a sign in the ground and get a listing. You're actually trying to help them make the most money, sell it the fast. Now you're doing your job. Hot market 3-4 months ago. Shane, we can't believe you're still staging and fixing these properties up. You just, everything's selling multiple offers. Yeah, well, guess what? Their tune has changed in the last 3 months. Oh, Shane, do you think you could help me? Do you think you're a stager? Or, hey, do you think you're a contractor? I'm like, right? Consistency, right? So I'm the same listing agent no matter what. I adapt to the market if it's short sale, REO, whatever, but it's the same level of service always. Never compromise you're right. That's something it's not negotiable. But anyway, sorry, I know that was a little longer than I expected to put out there, but I just was trying to bring it all together for you.
That was a great answer. And I think, demonstrating, you're providing your clients with so many different options, so many different solutions. It really reflects how you are as an agent. And I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why you have such a big repeat and referral of business as well. We just have a couple more questions here, and then we're going to wrap up. I just wanted to know, what would your advice be for agents that are maybe just getting into the market now, or maybe they've started in the last couple of years, as we're entering, this big market shift we're pretty much seeing across the board, especially someone like yourself that started during, a big downturn in real estate?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, here's the thing, like I said earlier, it's never the market. So I mean, if they're coming in with excuses, they're going to be one of the 90% that don't make it. And not everybody's cut out, right? Like not everybody's cut out. I've had people that do everything they're supposed to. Very few will do everything they're supposed to, but there have been a few that have, and it just hasn't worked. Maybe it's not for you. But if you're not doing everything you're supposed to be doing, then they're just, you know what I mean? Like you can make up a million excuses. So big thing coming into the market, obviously adapt, right? Get a feel for what's going on. Like really know your market data. Like when agents in my team reach out to start their geo farm, yeah, farm where you live and stuff, that's important. But if you live in a neighborhood where there's like 2 sales last year, fine, farm it, but like don't go over the top. Go get like a townhouse or condo complex. Go farm that. Like go find a place where there's a lot of turnover. Because I mean, I'll tell you what, if 50 houses sell in your farm, you have a lot better chance than if 2 do, right? So your odds go way up if you're farming something, right? And then here's the big one, this word, consistency. Seriously, like, I mean, there's engineers in this business that I know here that were tech engineers where they moved into real estate. They have engineering personalities. No offense for the engineers, because I know Dharma, but I'm just saying, because you're not like a normal engineer personality, but I'm just saying, the driest people that have because I'm an emotional guy, right? People love the whole, I just love people. There's people that are just like rocks. So there's this one girl, she was #1 at Century 21 in the world when I worked with her. She's still in the Bay Area, does really well. She was an engineer from tech. She's been in the business now for about 8 years. All she does is mails like $7,000-8,000 a month in postcards. That's all she does. That's what she's done for 8 years. Super meticulous, super organized, knows her market areas. She sells 60 to 70 houses every year. Now she's got agents and built a team. She's probably selling 100 plus. No personality, didn't even speak English that well, but just kills it. It just, that consistency. That's an example of consistency. So, but here's the thing, for me, the core coaching was something that I really loved, and it gave me a lot of really good things that I do. So every day there's an hour for prospecting, or there's an hour blocked out every day. So day 1, top 50 Mondays, top 50 VIPs. I have about 84 VIP clients in my VIPs, and they're all, some of them are just big referral people, not even that they're a big client. But these top 50 VIPs on Mondays, I don't call every Monday, but within a month, I try to touch them all. They get special gifts, special parties, etc. Every single client that I'm prospecting in my database, I have this All About You form. That's on my Instagram bio, which if you guys want to grab it for free, you can. In my Instagram, because a lot of people ask me for that. So through this coaching program, I learned about different ways to get your clients' information, and I wanted to do a birthday gifting program. So what we do is we send out this form to our clients that they fill out. their birthdays, they have to have a dog or a cat, their favorite sports teams, where like the coffee, dinner, whatever. So I have this, and you'll see it. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now, but you could always call me after and ask questions. But anyway, modify that for your marketer however you want. Send that to every single client. As soon as you sign up a client, in your past clients, send it to them. But anyway, top 50 VIPs, I call them or contact them on Mondays. Basically throughout the year, birthday and a big anniversary, house anniversary, whatever, they're getting a little gift. One of my assistants sends out a little gift. We do this all year long. Tuesdays, updates, client updates, people like listings that you have active or buyers in the market, or maybe something you're working on to bring on the market. Client updates on Tuesday. Wednesday, old leads, new leads. Essentially, basically anybody that that I haven't followed up with, or just people that I was working on turning into business. And then on Thursdays, it's past clients. Obviously, there's some overlap because some VIPs can be past clients, right? So, and then honestly, it can be in all categories at one point, right? But so basically, I follow up with past clients. And then on Fridays, it's business building. That's when you hit your commercial, like the little coffee shop in your neighborhood, or your local CPA, your attorney. So that's an hour a day. If you can do an hour a day and you do your geo farm, and in general, you do little events, you could take to the point, like before COVID, 3 meetings a week and 10 handwritten notes. So basically, coffee with maybe your CPA, maybe go catch lunch with a past client. Like basically get 3 people every week, go meet with them. And like, if you don't have a lot of time, make it a coffee date and go for a walk, whatever. But 3 a week and 10 handwritten notes out every week. I mean, just simple stuff like that. You're a brand new agent, you should generate business. And if you don't, then like I said, I mean, if you do everything and it still doesn't work, it might not be for you. And I know that's not what you want to hear, Tharmala. You're looking at me like, but I'm always honest. Like, I'm just being honest. I mean, after all these years, I mean, I've seen people come and go, and don't have an ego. Always be humble, always be learning. Like, I have zero ego when it comes to that. I mean, I have pride, obviously pride in my work and stuff, but it's like, I learn something new every day. I'm thankful every day. Like, I approach the business every day the same way, right? Like, that doesn't change. And you gotta stay humble and work hard. That doesn't ever change. Like, you start to bear more fruit as you get later in your career, but you always have to come from that same place and have the same values. And if you're just chasing a dollar, I mean, real estate's not for you, because it's a lot more than that. I didn't get into real estate to make money. I mean, I was wowed in junior high by my buddy's, uncle, who was a really successful mortgage guy. And I was really wowed. I wanted to make $100,000 a year. That was such a large amount of money back in the late 80s, which now it's really not. But anyway, that's kind of where my wow was. But from day one in this business, it's never been like, let me go get that money. Sure, I want to make more money, be successful and retire and everything, but I really focus on taking care of the client and just the passion for the business.
I will genuinely second that, because Shane, and I've been around Shane for about 1.5 years now, and Shane's personality, whether he's talking to a brand new agent or one of the top producing leaders at our company, his personality never changes. His attention never changes. And that shows you not only what a humble person you are, but that you're true to who you are and you accept who you are as a person. And I think that bleeds into everything that you do, and that people often think that, oh, they're not going to give me attention because I'm not, but that's just an insecurity on yourself and not about the other. So I will completely second that as somebody who worked closely with Shane. Yeah, absolutely.
I felt like I had to say that just because, I mean, today everybody's like a social media celebrity, right? Like it's really sad to see that nobody wants to pay their dues. And I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't want to pay their dues, right? They just want to be instant real estate millionaires, and that's just fail. That's why I bring that up, because I mean, I could really be cocky if I wanted to. I mean, I've been a top producer. I'm one of the top 2,000 agents in the company. I'm just not that guy, right? But it's like, pay your dues, work your way and then enjoy it. You don't have to flaunt it. People know, and if they don't know, I mean, who are you trying to get validation from anyway? Right.
Yeah, and people will see through that, right? People will see through that. And I think that that's why, like, your online, and I talk about this in my training a lot too, is that your online present and your offline behavior, they have to match. So sometimes people see you on video and you have this personality, and when they see you in person, and if you go down, then there's a gap there, right? So make sure that you have everything consistent in terms of your personality. But I know throughout this call, you kept saying farming. For any of you that are listening, we've done a training around farming before, and Kyle and I are going to be thinking about doing another one again. So if you want to, make sure you join our Facebook group and stay tuned with us, because I'll do a full call just on farming, and what that looks like, just so that you understand, because I know that technology, that terminology can be new to people, but I just wanted to mention that.
You know, and one more thing that you just reminded me of too is that, and I've talked to your group about this before, is obviously calling on expireds and canceleds. We're starting to get a lot more of those now with the changing market. So, I mean, I'm always happy to come back, and we could always chat about that, you know, the dialers and stuff and the approaches there. And then even the neighborhood, like since you're talking about GeoFarm and stuff, you can also use that program to actually farm neighborhoods and farm around listings. And so if you ever want to tackle that again, I'm happy to bring in that layer as well.
Yeah, like Vulcan and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, because that all ties
Sure.
in. If you do the
Sure,
neighborhood
yeah.
search, and then you can mail them, you can call them, you can email, like you can touch them, you can do YouTube ads, like you can.
Yeah, the presentation you did with my team, right? So guys, if any of you are interested in that kind of, you know, lead generation, so even cold calling, working with dialers, scripting, I'm happy to bring Shane back in the next couple of weeks. So just comment and let us know if you're interested. If there's enough interest, Kyle and I can make that happen for sure. We're always iffy about cold calling because not a lot of people, it turns people off. It's like not the number one lead generation strategy.
Well,
but
I hate
when people business, right? And having to speak to people. So I'm happy to, you did a great presentation with us and our group. I think that a lot of my agents responded really well to it. So maybe we can do that again. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Well, anything I can do to help. And then I'm going to be home in September because I'm on that little medical thing going on. So I'm going to have a lot of downtime in September. So if you guys want to jump on Zooms, I'll be pretty much homebound for about a month or so.
Sure. We're down. It seems like people are interested. That's great. And Kyle, I'll give it back to you. I know you had a last one or two questions. Did you, to wrap it up?
That was all I had. I don't know if you had any last question for Shane before we wrap up here.
You know, Shane, I wanted to ask you before people jump off. So when did you because a lot of people sometimes have this misconception about the team and the brokerage that you join, being around you, and you bring a ton of value. You're a really selfless person, hence why you're part of our group. And one thing about our group that I just can't say enough is there are people like you that I'm in Toronto. I haven't yet to meet you in person yet, but I will at an event very shortly. And just to give perspective to the culture that we have, do you want to talk a little bit about why you, as a top producing agent, came into a brokerage and our group like ours, and why did you join us? What did you see that was valuable for you? And tell us a little bit about what that has done for your business.
Yeah, it's interesting because I met Mike Sherrard in a mastermind when COVID hit. Some other buddies and people I've gone to, because we all follow different trainers and different people. And so I was in LA at this conference where I met some of these guys, and one of my buddies from Southern California actually hosted these weekly masterminds. He'd have guests come in and stuff. And so Mike Sherrard came in to talk about social media marketing. Well, like I told you guys earlier, like that technology or that's not really strong side of my business. So I thought it'd be great to see. Wait, you should come over here. So I actually saw the value in, the marketing aspect and wanting to do better with that. However, because I'd been approached by EXP for years, I always thought it was a joke. But because I respected him with the marketing thing, and because me and Connor have that strong investment background, when I met with these guys, and then I met, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his name now, lives down in Texas, who's an avid fisherman. I'm an avid saltwater fisherman. Connor likes to fish. So it's just like, it was kind of a chance meeting. Like I was interested in marketing. I went after Mike. And then once I got presented with a group, and then it's weird, like once I landed, it just kept getting better and better once I came on board. And then the Icon program, like I had no idea how amazing it was. And now that they're really making that a big thing, when I was in Florida last month for shareholders, they had a whole day for us after the event. And I mean, being with, these 2,000 agents from around the world, it's like you learn so much, like the value, even if you don't decide to be an Icon agent, whatever you're going to do, the collaboration and the referral business has been incredible. Like a lot of the value and a lot of what's ended up was so unexpected. Like I was telling you guys about Chrissy, like I get at least one referral a month from the Wolfpack, at least one a month. And I haven't even spent time looking for it or building those relationships. It's just coming.
Even my
unheard
own team. Yeah, I agree. Like I think that's one thing I really love is that you sometimes have business just from our own team alone. And I think I've learned the most from our group the most. I think that the brokerage model alone is obviously there's nothing like it. And like the Icon program, it's meant for the agent to win and not just, it's not all about the broker and somebody else making the money. And I think that is what really changed for me. And then what blew my mind is when people like you who are on a completely different race than a lot of other agents are, especially like brand new agents or people who are hitting the market, or like if you live in Michigan or if you live in Toronto, like you're in different markets, right? And then someone like you coming into a call like this and sharing all of your value that you've learned and you paid coaches to do, like that just puts it on a completely different level, So.
Well, it's important to give back. And I mean, like, well, for me, I love helping people. So like, for me, it's not even a sacrifice. I mean, really what's hard nowadays is just, I realized about 3 or 4 years ago, time is the most valuable thing we have. And I realized that, I just don't have enough. I got myself involved in so much. I just don't have as much time, but I promised myself that after this little health thing I'm dealing with, I'm going to really, downsize a lot of the stuff that doesn't serve me, the stuff that I don't really need to be involved in or I'm not as passionate about. I really would like to do more of this. I'd like to help other people and spend more time speaking to groups and training and helping other agents be successful. That's kind of like the next chapter for me. Like, you know what I mean? I'll still be in the trenches to a certain extent, but I need to make some life changes because my mind can do more than my body and my health has suffered, so.
Yeah, I hear you. I know sometimes, you and I will definitely connect and put together some more trainings for our agents. And I know we have tons of commonalities that way. So I'm happy to do that because I know we did a lot of Clubhouse series and that was, well received. So once again,
You're way more techie than me, so we balance each other because I don't got the tech part. Like, remember, I was writing offers in carbon copy triplicate, and using fax machines. That's all I Don't make a mistake because you can't use whiteout. They're carbon copy. It's like for all over. It's horrible.
That's hilarious. Oh man. Okay,
No
thank you.
None of that stuff.
Awesome. No, honestly, first, thank you so much for taking the time, making schedule changes to be here. Really, really appreciate it. And your answers were thorough. I think completely getting a really overarching, look at your career, how it's gone. Because I think that's the most important is that we go into it thinking that, the next 5 years, the year, then you're going to be stuck at the next 5 years. It's really about thinking on a long-term overarching level and building a business that's going to thrive. But I love the point that you made. And I think that's the big win for me is even the way Kyle and I will start thinking, how are we going to adapt to this market? But actually know how it's not about us adapting to the market. Actually, our business is what it is, and it's always going to thrive and grow regardless of what the market is. And that's actually a really cool insights that a lot of us are hanging on to.
You should thrive in the bad markets.
Got it.
I'm more successful in the bad markets. Anybody can do anything in a good market. This is what sets everybody apart. And if you're a new agent, it doesn't matter. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, like you'll thrive in this market too. But for people that just come in with a heartbeat and can sell anything, I mean, those times are changing quickly.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something useful. If you're interested in partnering with our record-breaking organization, the Wolfpack, here at eXp Realty completely for free, just click the link that's in the pinned comment. We can set up a time to talk and we can see whether or not we'd be a good fit for each other. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, click the like button down below and make sure to subscribe. We're going to be posting videos like this on the channel every single week. And be sure to join the Facebook page. The link is in the top of the description. It's also in the pinned comment. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.